Local support for News 6 has been provided by the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation, Bowling Green State University, and the members of WBGU-TV.
Congratulations, your school has been selected to participate in News 6 this year. For those of you who may not know, News 6 is a 10-minute news program that is written and produced by 6th graders in Northwest Ohio. The first News 6 production was aired in 1972. It continues today to be a successful way for 6th graders to share positive stories about their school and community with the rest of Northwest Ohio. Now at this time, I would like to show you a finished News 6 program, and after you watch this segment, I will explain the production process in greater detail. You'll then be well on your way to making your own News 6 production. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Temp Class Group Incorporated is committed to education in the Perrysburg area and is proud to support Toth Elementary in today's News 6. Local support has also been provided by the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation, Bowling Green State University, and the members of WBGU-TV.
Hi! We're the 6th grade class of Toth Elementary. Welcome to News 6!
Hi, I'm Alexis DeGennaro from Toth Elementary. Welcome to News 6. Hope you enjoyed your Easter weekend and had lots of fun. With today's first story, here's Carissa Lusick.
Have you ever wanted to own chinchillas, iguanas, ferrets, or pythons? Well, you needn't go to the zoo to have a look at these exotic animals. You just need to step in at Sanders Pets. In our next story, John Pierre Moraes finds out what are the strangest and most unusual pets in this exotic pet store.
Hi, I'm JP Murray and I'm here with Matt Sanders to show you some unique pets. When and why did Sanders Pets get started?
We started in Pemberville about 1962 when we first were married. We needed income for our hobby and we started the store.
What type of pets are sold here?
Sanders Tropics designed themselves to have unusual pets, things you couldn't find right in the dime stores or in the small stores that were appropriate in town. So we started getting into the exotics, such as iguanas, chinchillas. We had monkeys in the earlier years before things changed, large parrots such as the big Sammy that you have here, the macaws, cockatoos, anything unusual that the regular stores had no knowledge about keeping, we got into.
What's the strangest pet you've ever had here?
Probably the monkeys in the earlier years because they are very hard to take care of. We've got the big macaws, which are strange, and very unusual snakes, some poisonous.
What seems to be the favorites among customers?
People still like tropical fish. They still enjoy the fish tanks. They still like their birds and small animals that they can handle and play with and become attached to. People like to become attached to their pets, so they still go for the soft, cuddly things.
Today's News 6 is produced by the 6th graders at Toth Elementary. Our school is in Perrysburg, which is south of Toledo and 10 miles north of Bowling Green. Perrysburg has a population of 20,000 and was founded in 1816.
Our next story is about the fabulous Fort Meigs, which was built in 1813 during the Second War of Independence. It was here that the British suffered their first setback of the Northwest Campaign. Did you know that this fort is among the largest forts in the United States? Larry Nelson tells us its interesting history.
Hi, I'm Nikos Kaplanov and I'm here with a group of friends to interview Larry Nelson about Fort Meigs. When was Fort Meigs built, and is this the original fort?
No, this isn't the original fort. Fort Meigs was built during the War of 1812 and 1813. And the men who lived here, and there's about 2,000 of them, were here for a very short time. In September of 1813, most of them left to fight in another battle. And when they left, they tore this big fort down and built a smaller one in the northwest corner of the site. And that fort stayed here until about 1815 when they left, and they tore it down to 2.
What was the purpose of Fort Meigs?
Fort Meigs was built to be a supply depot and a staging area. During the War of 1812, American troops wanted to invade Canada, and they were trying to get as many men and supplies gathered together in one spot to help them do that. That's why this fort is built here.
What can visitors expect to see today at Fort Meigs?
Well, Fort Meigs is a big restored fortification. There are 7 blockhouses, 3 of which have exhibits in it. We also have costume reenactors who demonstrate weapons and fire artillery and play the fife and drum for our visitors all summer long.
What's the fort's most unique attraction?
We say that Fort Meigs is the largest walled restored fort in America, and it probably is. This is one of the biggest forts around in America today. It encloses almost 10 acres.
Thank you, Larry Nelson, for showing us around Fort Meigs. Are you impatiently waiting for summer to come and school to close? This week's Kids View question asks the 6th graders, what are your plans for summer break?
Hi, this week's Kid View question is, what are your plans for your summer break?
This summer I plan to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
This summer I plan to go to the pool and hang out with my friends.
This summer I plan to go to Las Vegas and have fun.
Are you inspired by Western movies and want to learn how to gallop on horses? Our next story takes us to River Hollow Farms, where you can take riding lessons, and this place also trains horses and takes part in horse shows.
How did River Hollow Farms first get started?
River Hollow was started in the 60s as a private barn for some families here in Perrysburg, and in the 70s it became a public riding facility, and it has been that since then.
Only riding lessons given here?
No, we give riding lessons, and we teach riding lessons for 2 universities in the area, and we do horse shows, we sell horses, and we also train horses.
What kind of equipment do you use for riding lessons?
We require a hard hat, which is a safety helmet, paddock boots so the feet don't slip into the stirrups, and then the horse, of course, needs a saddle and a bridle so that you can steer the horse and stay on the horse.
What drills do horses learn in riding lessons?
The kind of riding that we don't do anything that's called drills, but the horses learn how to jump. They learn how to, of course, stand still, walk, trot, and canter.
Do horses compete?
We compete on a horse show circuit called the Lake Effects Horse Show Circuit. It involves about 5 or 6 barns, and we travel as far away as 4 hours away to Battle Creek, Michigan.
Thank you, Gail Mahaffey, for telling us about horse riding and showing us around River Hollow Farms. This week in Critics Corner, 6th graders from Toth Elementary selected Snow Treasure by Marie McSwiggan. This is a wonderful story of courage and adventure. When a small Norwegian town is invaded by the Nazis, it is up to the children of the village to transport $9 million worth of gold to a ship to be taken to America. The trick is to smuggle out the gold right under the Germans' noses. This story has many exciting events and a wonderful plot.
That's all for this week's show. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next week when the 6th grade class of Ottoville Elementary visits News 6.
Temp Class Group Incorporated is committed to education in the Perrysburg area and is proud to support Toth Elementary in today's News 6. Local support has also been provided by the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation, Bowling Green State University, and the members of WBGU-TV.
Now that you have an idea of what the finished production looks like, let's get started on making your own program, and all of you will be the stars. The News 6 production process takes approximately 5 weeks to complete. Let's begin by looking at the handout titled News 6 Production Process, which is located in your information packet. Let's talk about week 1. After watching this New 6 introductory videotape, your teacher will review the packet of information with you and answer any questions. Your class then participates in a brainstorming session to come up with story ideas that are different and unique. Once you have come up with a list of story ideas, you will become an investigative reporter and interview the person in your community that can give you the information you need to write an exciting story. Now, when selecting your story idea, please keep in mind that your story site should be no more than 10 minutes from your school. We want to stay focused on your community. Now, every student will write a story. Your teacher will then mail the stories to the producers at WBGU-TV. The producers will then select 3 stories, as well as an alternate story that can be used in case one of the first 3 do not work out. Your teacher will then be notified of the 3 stories selected, and the field shoot schedule will be arranged by the WBGU-TV producer. On the day of the field shoot, the television production crew will arrive at your school after the first bell rings and will spend the entire day with you at your school. You will begin at the school and we'll videotape the program open and the Kids View question of the week. After finishing those 2 segments, you and the television crew will go to each of the 3-story locations and videotape for about 1 to 1.5 hours at each location. During week 4, the videotapes are edited at WBGU-TV into stories that are approximately 1 minute and 45 seconds each. You will travel to Bowling Green and arrive at the television station around 10 a.m. We will then prepare for the show, and we will videotape the program from 10:30 to 11:30. After the production, you will have the opportunity to watch the finished program. We will conclude your visit with a tour of the television station, and by the time you leave WBGU-TV, you will have a much better understanding of what is involved in producing a television program. And who knows, maybe you will decide that you would like to pursue a career in mass communications. The final week of the New 6 production process is referred to as the broadcast week. Your teacher will inform you of the dates and times that your production of New 6 will broadcast on WBGU-TV. A New 6 program includes 3 feature stories. This means that they're made up of the main portion of the New 6 program. It is hoped that each story will be so unique and different that your audience will be captivated by what you have to tell them. A feature story is also one which is of interest to your audience at any time. For example, if you choose a story about a clockmaker, this story is of interest this week or even 6 months from now. And as you write your New 6 story, keep your audience in mind. Select topics that would be of interest to other school students throughout your area. Try to find out what is different and unique about your school or community. Perhaps you have a local citizen who has an unusual hobby or job. Maybe there's a famous person that grew up in your community or even went to your school. However, there is more to an interesting story than the subject matter. How you present your story is just as important. Here are some things to remember. You are not writing for the newspaper or the radio. You're writing for television. Not only do you want to tell a story with words, but you want to tell a story with images that your audience will see on the television screen. Now, this means that your story should have visual support. Visual support refers to images on the television screen other than the person who is talking. Let me show you an example of an interview without visual support.
Well, Middle Point Telephone Company got started back in 1903 as a result of 2 telephone companies prior to that merging together. The town of Middle Point had the switchboard, the original switchboard, and then there was a Southern Telephone Company that built their lines into the switchboard.
What role does the telephone company play when someone places a call?
Okay, when somebody places a call, they pick up their telephone, and the first thing they receive is dial tone, and that comes from our office here. And then they either, if it's a touch tone phone, they push out the numbers, or if it's a dial phone, they dial. And then the connection is made, the switching equipment computes that, and the connection is made to the party they called.
Here is the same interview with visual support.
1903, as a result of 2 telephone companies prior to that merging together. The town of Middle Point had the switchboard, the original switchboard, and then there was a Southern Telephone Company that built their lines into the switchboard.
What role does the telephone company play when someone places a call?
Okay, when somebody places a call, they pick up their telephone, and the first thing they receive is dial tone, and that comes from our office here. And then they either, if it's a touch tone phone, they push out the numbers, or if it's a dial phone, they dial. And then the connection is made, the switching equipment computes that, and the connection is made to the party they called.
Did you notice the difference? In the first interview, the only image we saw was the man talking, and in the second interview, we saw the same man talking, but in addition, we saw images of what he was talking about. Here are some examples of story ideas for you to consider. Pets, hobbies, unique industries or jobs in your area, someone that has an unusual collection, or maybe even a human interest story. There are lots of interesting things happening in your community. It's now your job to become a good investigative reporter and go out and find a great story. Now, we could spend hours discussing story ideas. However, your teacher will discuss the possibilities in greater detail after you finish watching this videotape. And when selecting a story topic, it's helpful to brainstorm with your teacher, family members, or even some friends. And remember, you want your story to be different and unique. The News 6 production gives you the opportunity to serve your community, and in many cases, News 6 will be the only local community news program available to the people in your area. Now, please turn to the reporter information sheet located in your information packet. The reporter information sheet is very important. You will use this handout to collect information about your story topic. Before you receive your information packet, your teacher will fill in the field shoot date. This is the date that WBGU-TV production crew will be at your school to videotape the various segments of the program. The television crew will be there during school hours only. Make sure the person you are interviewing is aware of that date and the time frame of the production day. Now, this means if your story is selected, the person you interview must be available during school hours. You may also want to inform them that every sixth grader will be writing a story and that only 3 will be selected. The producer at WBGU-TV will contact that person if that story is chosen. Once you have chosen your story topic and the person you want to interview, you will need to fill out this reporter information sheet. To begin with, each story must have a title. An example of a story title might be Rick's Bike. You are the reporter, so place your name on the line that says Reporter's Name. The location line will have the address where the story is to be videotaped. Please print this clearly. Also, print the name of the person you will be interviewing along with their phone number. That's very important information that we need. Questions 1 through 6 are very important, and you must make sure that you ask all 6 questions and that you will write your answers down. If you do not have all this information, your story may not be selected. Question number 1. Ask the person whether or not they would be interested in participating on News 6. If the answer is no, you should pick another person to interview. Then ask the person if we may bring television cameras into their home or business. Inquire if there is a time of the day that they are not available for an interview. Perhaps the person would prefer to come to your school. Also, ask them if they would be able to provide a tour for the 6th grade class. And lastly, ask how many students could comfortably visit them. Before you actually conduct the interview, ask yourself who, what, when, where, and why, and you should have a pretty good start to your story. Let me show you what I mean by filling out this section using my story as an example. To begin with, who is your story about? On that line, I'm going to put Patrolman Rick Smith, because my story is about a policeman. What specifically did you want to know about this person you are going to interview? In my case, I want to know about Patrolman Rick's bike because he rides around his town on a bike instead of in a patrol car. Where does your story take place? I'll put the village of Casper because that's where Patrolman Rick works. And since he patrols the entire town on his bike, there isn't an exact location to write down. When does Patrolman Rick ride his bike? While he's on duty. Why? Why does he ride his bike? That's one of the questions I hope to find out when I talk to Patrolman Rick. Once you have done this portion of your sheet, write down several questions that you would like to ask the person you have chosen to interview. Use your answers from above to help you formulate your questions. Here are some questions. As a policeman, why do you patrol on a bike instead of in a police car? How long have you been riding a bike? What special features does your bike have? After you have written down some questions, make arrangements to conduct your interview. Write your answers on the back side of the reporter's information sheet and be sure to thank them for their time. After you have collected your information, write your story in paragraph form on a piece of notebook paper. You may either type or write your story. However, if you choose to handwrite your story, be sure that we can read it. You should have no problem filling up one sheet of paper. Okay, let's move on to writing your stories. It helps if you remember the following suggestions. First, make sure you write facts that are stated so clearly they leave no confusion in the mind of the listener. The first sentence of your story should be treated like a newspaper headline. It should catch the listener's attention and prepare them for what is to come. Who, what, when, where, and why are important, but do not try to cram them into the first sentence. Short sentences are easier to read and to understand. To make your story sound even better, use a variety of sentence lengths. And if you follow these guidelines, you will have the beginning of a great story. Then staple your story to the reporter information sheet and turn it into your teacher by the story deadline date. Now to recap, you need to select a story idea, fill out your reporter information sheet, conduct the interview, write the answers to your interview questions on the back of your reporter information sheet, and then write your story in paragraph form. You'll need to turn this story into your teacher, and your teacher will mail all the stories to WBGU-TV. The television producer will select 3 stories and 1 alternate story. Then the next thing is a WBGU-TV field production crew will spend 1 full day at your school. You will then travel to WBGU-TV for the studio production of News 6. Something else we need to discuss is what type of clothing is appropriate to wear during your field shoot and your studio visit. If possible, you should avoid wearing solid white and solid black on camera. Also, avoid t-shirts. They look unprofessional. Sweaters should not be worn on your visit to the television station because the lights in the studio get very warm. It's best to wear bright, solid colors on camera. And if you are selected to be an interviewer or a reader on camera, you will be required to wear a microphone. We suggest that you wear blouses or dress shirts that have a collar on them so the microphone can be attached easily. We want you to look comfortable, yet we want you to look professional. Remember, you're representing your community and your school. Now, there are 2 other sheets of paper in your packets that I need to bring to your attention. The first one is the WBGU-TV Center Release Form. This form needs to be taken home to your parents or guardian, signed, and returned to your teacher so it can be mailed in with your story. Now, without this release form, you will not be able to participate on camera. So please take this home tonight, bring it back to your teacher as soon as possible. The last form in your packet, the orange one, is the News 6 videotape order form. If you would like a copy of your News 6 production, please have your parent or guardian fill out this form and enclose a check for $15 made out to the Tape Duplication Center, NWOE-TV. Don't worry about writing that down. The name is printed directly on the form. This $15 will cover the cost of the videotape, duplication, and shipping it directly to your home address. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with your stories. I'm confident that you will have a great experience producing your own News 6.
Local support for News 6 has been provided by the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation, Bowling Green State University, and the members of WBGU TV.